Okay, these hot rails, they are a whole lot more sensitive in the center than they are. You see that they're already pre-curved for, I don't know, like a 12 or something. But yeah, they're a whole lot more sensitive in the center than they are like out here at the number 1 or number 6 string position. So that's kind of working against me because it's not like it's off and then all of a sudden it's full strength field for all 6 strings evenly and then it's off again, which would make it a lot easier. So it's more like, you get it to the first string's position on the pickup, or like where the first slug would be, and it's 80% volume. You get it to the second slug and it's like 90%, and then the third slug and the fourth slug are 100%. That kind of idea. So if you kind of compensate for that, then something about like this seems to get the right sort of effect. And the number 1 string's real loud, and the 6 is real loud, and 3 and 4 are soft, and 2 and 5 are in between. So you get which is kind of scooped. And yeah, so that's the general effect that I'm looking for. This was kind of promising too, if you put like one down here, and then another one up kind of just here. And this gives you a real good bass boost kind of a curve. But it doesn't sound, this is where the fall off at the edges interferes with this, because you don't hardly pick up anything on number 1 string. I'd probably have to tilt the pickup this way, sort of. And there's also there's like a 1/10 of a mil difference between I'm getting magnetic buzz and I'm not getting buzz, but it's still nice and loud. So yeah, and these are not wax potted. Apparently, they've got some microphonic thing going on. So yeah, probably not the best choice of pickup for this type of experiment, actually. But so there's, I'm lifting it up about 1/2 mil or a mil. Let me put a 1/2 mil of brass under this end. Did that work? Well, a little bit. You see, it gives you a really loud bass. You can put it over here under 5 and 6 and get. But that's too fat on number 5, I think. So put it so that the rail's in between 5 and 6. That sounds a little better. So yeah, that's another possibility right there for even fatter kind of a sound, which actually might be, if I were going, these are in series now, so if I were going series, probably for my personal style, which is more like metal with a lot of bottom end, I'd probably go with this. Part of the problem is I'll actually hit notes, and depending on where I've got these things sitting, the body will vibrate enough that they start moving around and such. So I really should be gluing them down, but this is good enough to get an idea. So yeah, this gives you a pretty good bass kind of configuration, something like that. And then the other one I was showing you gives you a bit more. This is like a bass boost, and the other one's more like a scooped thing. So, in the end, it's probably just as easy to put a regular pickup on and throw an EQ in the signal chain at the front end of the signal chain coming off of the jack, because it does the same sort of thing. But then again, if you've already got, something like this to work with, you're not having to take your EQ and set the bottom end all the way up and then nerf everything else. So it gets you closer to where you want to be from the get-go. But anyway, now I'm going to switch around the gator clips and put them in parallel instead of series, and see if that helps me pick up a little on the top end without losing too much bottom end. Because I mean, if I can dedicate a whole pickup just a number 6 string, then that should preserve a lot of bottom end. And then if I've got them in parallel instead of series, that should brighten it up overall. But I'll also lose a bit of volume as well, I believe. Okay, results in parallel are actually pretty similar, but they're brighter, and there's not a big difference in volume. And the reason why there's not a big difference in volume is because even when they're in series, there's, for whatever string you're plucking, there's still only one pickup underneath it. So they're never truly in series and both under the same string to make it louder, even when you've got them wired in series. So for example, this is the scoop kind of sound in parallel. You can see where I'm getting, you can hear some of the thumping sound from these being microphonic a little bit. But yeah, you can still kind of get the idea here. And then with them set up like this kind of a way, that kind of thing, and then you need the brass under it. But yeah, when it's set up sort of like this, then you get more treble than you do in the series. So yeah, it's nice and bright there. And then it super hits on the bass. Or you can put it underneath both 5 and 6 to make 5 hit harder. Yeah, so yeah, the basic concept works. If I want to say this is like 60 hertz and that's 100 hertz, I don't know what they really are, but yeah, if I want a little more 100 hertz in my frequency response curve for my pickup system, then I can just slide this guy so that it's under both 5 and 6 instead of just centered on number 6. And that kind of an idea. And with that, I can better control the frequency response that I'm getting out of the jack. So yeah, I'm going to think about this a little bit, and I'm probably going to go with a setup like this. Straight across, jacked on the treble side, so I get lots of nice bright response. Maybe slid over a little towards this side, because I've got a dedicated pickup for number 6, so I don't need much signal from this pickup at all for number 6, since I'm going to have a dedicated one. See, that's plenty of pickup there. Actually, this makes me think that what you really want is some way to have 6 little pickups that you all put in parallel, kind of a thing. So And so, yeah, so then that's got me thinking about the 3 slug coil pickups that you can get for Scarbox guitars and maybe doing something with them. Yeah, so I got a little bit of thinking to do here. Okay, I've decided that I'm going to go with parallel, and I'm going to put one of them underneath the 5 and 6 string, and the other one, and the way it's shimmed right now with 2 mil under it to clear the wire is fine. Actually, I might actually have to add 2 more mil at the bridge for when you're fretting at the 24th, because it's okay for playing it open, but when you're fretting at the 24th, it actually hits the rails. So, yeah, I'll add another 2 mil here or so, and then later I'll have to shim the neck. But yeah, so that one's gonna go there with 2 mil of shim so that the wire clears. I suppose the other thing I could do would be to route a channel for the wire. Then this one here, instead of getting 2 mil of shim in the middle, it's going to get like none on the bass side and a whole bunch on the treble, maybe 3 or 4 mil, in order to get this end of the rail up close to that number 1 for better response there. And as it's further away at the bottom end, that'll help taper down the center, like the number 3, 4, and 5 strings. And then you've got this guy picking up 5 and 6 big time. So yeah, it'll be. I can't really get this one on this side over here exactly right, the treble side, but yeah, this might bottom out. So, something like that. A lot of bottom end on it. Okay, I've got the pickup location and heights figured out, and I know I need to add 2 more mil to this thing, which will bring it up to. It's got 12 millimeters worth of mahogany, and then that'll be a total of 4 millimeters worth of pick guard, so that'll bring it up to 16 millimeters worth of spacer total. So I'll make new spacers out of mahogany for that. I'll have to add, gosh, let's see, it's about a 4-to-1 ratio. So if I add 4 here, I might add 1 mil of shim at the neck in order to get the action back, something around that. So yeah, I've got everything figured out, which means I'm done with the electronics experiment part, and it's time to take this puppy apart and send it to the paint shop.